Okay, so what I could hear and smell was that thing there, and you can see that it's a piece of copper wire. Now, I don't know what that is, but it's definitely, I've burnt it out. Hopefully it's designed to blow out when it comes across idiots like me who reverse the polarity on the battery. You can just see from, yeah, that's upside down, you can just see it says 30 amps. So I think that is just a 30 amp fuse. So I'm just going to modernise that with a blade fuse holder and put a 30 amp fuse in there. Anyway, back to my problem at hand, which was I was going to replace that 30 amp fuse with a fuse, just a blade fuse holder. I thought I had one in the shed here somewhere. I spent half an hour looking for it, and I don't have one unless I cut it out of something else, which I'm not going to do. So I'm not going to try and start the bike. I could just put a bit of wire across that terminal thing there, but I sort of don't want to do that. So I'm just going to have to wait until I get into town and buy a fuse holder. But in the meantime, I've got a mess of, oh, my shoulder hurts, I've injured it somehow. I've got a mess of at the front, so I still haven't fixed up the front area where I had it looking nice, and then the bike fell off the bench. So I'm going to tidy that up so that when I do try and start it, and it does start, this thing doesn't just fall off onto the ground and I'm then trying to catch it while the bike's running and, you know, do that sort of stuff. I'm also going to mix up, because I've tried to start it and it's turned over, you know, a few times. It was quite stiff, is probably the best way to do it. The bores were really looked quite in very good condition. But the engine has been sitting for a few years, so it's dry as dry can be. So I'm going to mix up a batch of mineral terps and two-stroke oil and just put it in through the top of the spark plugs and let it sit there for, well, hopefully it'll drain through, but just let it sit in there until I go to start the thing, and hopefully that'll just lubricate the top end. I'm worried about the rings and the bore more than anything, so I'm going to do that and just let it soak in until I'm ready to try and start it. So there's my two-stroke oil. I'm just going to put a bit of terps with that, just to thin it out. And yeah, I don't know how much terps to put with it, but I'm going to see what it looks like. I want it thin enough to ooze past the rings. So I mixed it, I don't know, maybe 60-40, 40% mineral terps. Looks pretty runny and nice and slippery. So I'm going to put that down the throat of the beast and let it sit in there for a while until I get myself organised. Hopefully it won't oil the plug up too much when I go to start it. It's all torqued to the right amount, but it's just, for from this side here, it looks like I'm getting coolant leak, which is far out. Gonna have to do that job again, perhaps. Alright, I'll put the plugs back in, and well, there's the mangled bit of sheet metal that I made up. So whether I make a new one or do whatever, I don't know. But for the moment, just to get it going, I'm going to bash that with a hammer and straighten it out and attach it back to the bike so that at least I can start. But I think I've got a bigger problem where I've got to strip the bike down and take the heads off and work out why it's leaking coolant. That ain't a good sign. Not supposed to do that. I've got a funny feeling. I used the angle grinder. I know it sounds pretty gruesome, but use an angle grinder with a paint stripper pad to get the old gasket off the mating surfaces. Now, I got that idea from a guy on YouTube who said that after 20 years of doing it, he said this is the best way to do it, swear by it, blah blah blah. I thought, yeah, okay. He says he's done it thousands of times, so, and I'll just do it gently, which I did, and I don't think it's a good idea. I should have just used this blade and a bit of time. Anyway, hope I haven't irreparably damaged the mating surfaces.